I've been trying for like a good 4 days to make input work. And I've been stuck for 5 days. I'm starting to get depressed. I'm starting to be burnt out, if I'm honest about this. I might not ever finish this. Welcome to another video. Today we will talk about what I did later on, like after the basics with the game engine. It all started out like right after the first one. I took all the structures with the GPU and WinIt and put it in the actual lib, because, well, I mean, why wouldn't I'm trying to make a library for game making. Of course I'm gonna make the game engine be a part of my lib, right? But I had to do a couple of changes because the structs I made kind of I had to rearrange them a little bit, because the fact that I changed from an actual normal project to a library, it forced me to do a little bit of linking with mods and uses, so that it's an actually usable thing in in another project, right? So I had to do that. I had to move the draw functions a little bit. I had to play around with the wall renderer, and after I did that, I had to also change how the rendering struct takes the rectangle data, because it has to be mutable because of arc and mutex, so that it can actually be dynamically edited in an external project, because apparently it wasn't earlier. It really helped with draw calls inside the game projects instead of doing all the calls right after new. So that was a little bit of a help with drawing on the external side of projects. I also made an empty loop struct for game updates, because yes, we are now trying to make a game loop. It's basically a struct that like has a function. It's a function that basically executes functions. Yes, I know that sounds dumb, but it will make sense in a moment, because like WinIt and WebGPU, they kind of have this issue of being a little bit closed, and Rust being very security focused also has an issue with like the borrowing and stuff, right? So what I had to do was make it possible to call functions from an update function of my own in external projects, and to do that so that it actually updates the app parameters and stuff, and like the shaders and other stuff. I had to do it like the draw function, except that instead of the draw function just being something that passes information to the renderer, the updating function was just like basically made out of it's basically just a function that passes to a function in the game loop, and then that function is executed to execute all the external functions. Complicated a little bit, but it works. So who am I to complain, right? Who am I to complain? Of course, it took a little bit to figure out. I actually had to ask Cloud for like if it was even possible, because I never actually knew it was possible to pass functions as variables inside other functions in Rust, which, to be honest, kind of a surprise. But the update function, because it was like a function variable thing, it couldn't take any variables. So to get around that for values for like the position of a rectangle or something, right? I just took the easiest way out, which was mutex and static variables, which aren't exactly the safest, but I mean, yeah, it's the best I can do, okay? It was the easiest way to do it. And another thing, even with all that, the shaders weren't actually re-rendering yet, because the engine was only reading like the static value that it took at the start when the application was starting, right? So what I had to do is tinker with the rendering again, and the rectangle data wasn't updating for some reason, like for the render pass, and so I had to make it that like the redraw request gets the data actually, and like the drawing functions actually change the data in real time and pass it each frame, and that made it work. And surprisingly, by the way, an interesting thing, like it started moving. That was huge, but I thought it would like just, you know, like just not appear at all, like you have with a lot of engines which don't inherently work on each frame, and just like they add everything up and it will just be gone. That's how it works, and that's why you'll need delta time in games, right? But surprisingly, I didn't need delta time. It was smooth, it just worked. Maybe because it was rendering each frame, so it, you know, with like minimal values, it was just moving normally like it should. The one thing that I think I could use was probably limiting frame rate and stuff, and figuring out how to make that stuff work. Maybe that's why delta time would be useful, but for now it wasn't needed for me. And since we actually made the loop work, it would make sense to make inputs, right? Well, we have an issue when it comes to inputs. I tried to actually make inputs work, right, with like the game engine, but there's an issue. It didn't work. It didn't work. You might be wondering why, but I'm gonna fucking kill myself. I'm gonna fucking kill myself. I've been trying for like a good 4 days to make input work. I'm trying to make input work with Wayland and with all the OSs at once. And I do not understand we need input. And I'm trying to find a crate. Device query doesn't work with Wayland. Why would it? Enigo is just for simulating. There are other crates that either don't work with Wayland or something. Lib input kinda sucks as well. So I don't have any options when it comes to Wayland, I think. So what I'm thinking of doing, if I'm honest, right now, because I just found that you can, I didn't know that it existed before, but I just found that something like X Wayland exists, which is basically a wrapper for Wayland to work like X11, which could possibly make it work. I'm not sure if it will work with Vulkan, which I want to use Vulkan. So I have a goddamn dilemma. What am I supposed to do here? Because Winit won't work how I want it to for sure. I can tell you that because I checked. I can't find any crates that actually do what I want to do, or when I find them, they don't fucking work with Wayland how they should. And I've been stuck for 5 days. I'm starting to get depressed. I'm starting to be burnt out, if I'm honest about this. I got so far, but goddamn, the fucking inputs. Like, what is wrong with the input situation here? I mean, I understand Wayland, it doesn't like globally share, it has inputs, it doesn't globally share inputs. But what the fuck? What are we doing? I'm so... This fucking hell. I don't know. I'll work on it, try to figure it out. Maybe I can do something. But I'm starting to crash out, to be honest. And if this keeps going like this, I might not ever finish this. This video might just end here. If it ends here, you know why at least, but yeah. I didn't do these kind of updates in the previous video, in the first episode, because I didn't need to. It just spent like a few days to making the basics and stuff, but what am I doing here? God damn. I don't know. But I got this far. I'm gonna try at least. And so the other solutions that I thought of didn't really work either. And the best way to explain it is inputs on X11 on Xorg, they work because Xorg is like, it's a little bit easier to get access to stuff. It's technically less secure, but because of that, it's easy, and there are crates that actually let you get inputs from the global inputs, right, on X11. On Wayland and Hyperland, however, the security measures don't allow you to take global inputs from your keyboards and mice and stuff. So the crates that normally would work didn't work. So I'm not sure what to do. I can't use Winit itself because Winit is closed, and I would need to do some weird tinkering shit to actually make it the input checking available in external projects. And any other crate kinda is just useless and doesn't work. X-Wayland doesn't work because detection still goes through Wayland, and Python doesn't work either because it has the same issues. So like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do, and to be honest, it kinda burns me out a little. So I'm already on like a week of break, and I am thinking of doing something else for the time being, on working on different stuff until I find a solution for this. But I'm not sure what the solution could be. We'll see how it goes, right? Maybe you already gave me some solution for this when you're seeing this video, right? Maybe somebody already did. Maybe I found something myself to get out of this, but I don't know. Well, this is the end of this vlog 2 thing. Will there be another one? I do not know. There may be another one someday, there may never be another one. Maybe I'll switch to a different language and start again, or I do not know. I don't know, but yeah. Egg out. While, well,